Hello and welcome to the Cinementalist podcast for cinementalist.com. My name's Andy. Sitting next to me is Floki, our bearded dragon mascot, and sitting opposite me is Liam. How are you, dude?
I'm well, thank you, sir. How about yourself?
Shite.
Yeah. Yes. Shite.
A little bit of behind the scenes for you here. We normally record on a Thursday evening, as is our wont, because I know it's a weird time to record, but it sort of works out in terms of the production schedule and editing, etc. But last Thursday, I had a cold. For a one-day cold, which is very, very frustrating, and it happened to be on a bloody Thursday. So we are currently recording on a Sunday afternoon, which is a bit weird.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, we're used to it being, we've got the curtains drawn and the lights on and everything, but there is that overwhelming sense that Sunday is happening outside. And I've also fucked up my back quite badly. I don't know how I managed to do this, but I've been in agony for the past couple of days, and I'm now sitting here with a big pillow behind me, trying not to flinch. So I apologise if I'm slightly off my game this week, but hey-ho.
We should do an addendum to this called the Moaners podcast.
I know, I want to explain like why it might be a little bit shitter than normal, but at the same time I am slightly aware of the fact that it's just two whinging Brits again.
Yes.
I guess that's why you tune in, right?
Always fucking whinging
I
and
know.
moaning.
That's enough excuses. Anyway, actually, you know what? I'm about to launch into another fucking excuse here as well, because we normally start out the podcast with the news. And I do have some news here this week. However, it has been, you know how occasionally I say...
Is it bad news?
Well, you know how I occasionally say it's like been a slow week?
Yes.
Oh my God, has it been a slow week for film news?
Oh, wow. So this is like the creme de la creme of underwhelming film news, is it?
This is going to be film news in brief, essentially. I mean, my TV of the week that I've got coming up later in the podcast is going to take some explaining. So we're still going to run to our usual time. But normally the first 15, 20 minutes of the podcast is taken up with a good bit of film news, some discussion, some banter back and forth. Fuck me, is it dry? It is the Sahara Desert of film news this week. But let's get it out the way. Anyway, let's start fucking rolling. Enough complaining. First things first, I never normally put these things in because, again, it's a bummer to start out a podcast with. But Melvin van Peebles died.
Yeah, that sucks, man. I actually found out about that over Twitter and I immediately thought of, you ever seen... Sweet, sweet, badass song.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm quite familiar with his work, actually, because, I watched a lot of Spike Lee stuff, and Spike Lee was always referencing Melvin van Peebles as his big influence. I mean, he's 89, bless him, but he's widely regarded as the godfather of black cinema. And, the Scorsese of that, going through that blaxploitation and into... going along with like the civil rights movement and stuff as well.
Yeah, enormously influential figure. I think it was actually our friends More Movies on Twitter. I think they posted an article about it was Mario, his son, talking about like the influence that his father had on him and had on black cinema in general, and how like he just was absolutely essential in spearheading this incredible cultural movement. And very good innings, but I mean, it's always sad when we lose somebody.
Yeah,
and especially as he was such a game changer.
Yeah, like I said, I don't normally, people in the film industry and directors and actors and things, unfortunately die all the time, and we don't normally reference them on the podcast because we try and keep things lighthearted. But given this,
sort of,
yeah. But given there's a dearth of news this week, and he was a very, very important figure, I thought I'd mention it. So yes, if you're looking for something to go back to and sort of looking through that part of film history, he's a wonderful, wonderful place to start. So I thought we'd start off with a shout out.
Yeah.
On to shittier news. Chris Pratt, here he is again.
Do you know what? I knew you were going to start with his name when you said that.
The most mediocre man in Hollywood. Chris Pratt, Jack Black, etc. to star in new Super Mario Brothers movie.
Why?
Yes, that was the question I asked myself as well. Even weirder on this, I was really hoping a friend of ours sent me the link to this and the link to the cast that they'd lined up as well. And part of me really, really hoped that they were going to do live action. Very much like the original Super Mario Brothers movie, which is widely regarded to be one of the...
Bob Hoskins.
Yeah, widely regarded to be one of the worst cinematic mistakes in history.
Indeed.
And I kind of wanted to see how a live-action Mario movie in this day and age would completely ruin itself, as it inevitably must. However, this is supposed to be animated. So we got Chris Pratt playing Mario, which immediately just makes me shudder a little bit. Anna Taylor-Joy will play Princess Peach, and Bowser, the supervillain of the series, will be played by Jack Black. Seth Rogen, apparently another one of my favorites, will be Donkey Kong. It just has clusterfuck all over it. The weirdest thing about this to me is, so this is going to be animated, right? So this is going to essentially look like the 3D Mario games that everybody knows and loves. The original voice actor that's done Mario, I believe since the first game all the way up to the current modern games, is still alive and has always done that voice.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do the animated version, why wouldn't you hire him?
Well, most importantly, and secondly, just another, maybe a weird angle to come from, because it's not something that I agree with, but I'm kind of surprised that Mario hasn't been cancelled, given the horrendous stereotypes of Italians.
It is a massive racial stereotype.
It's me, Mario.
It's one of those things
fucking
like
dreadful.
The Italians don't really care, and thereby we're allowed to keep doing it. We're allowed to go, Mamma Mia, and all this kind of stuff, and mob movies as well. You're still allowed to do that. Hey, gabagool.
Do you remember when we, I think when we used to go down our erstwhile watering hole, and they always used to play those Dolmio adverts with the puppets.
Yeah.
Thinking wonder how Italians watching this actually feel about it.
Can you imagine that same advert being done for soul food? You know what I mean? It would immediately be, no, you can't do that. Well, why can you get away with it with Italians?
It's like every Italian's just like, hey, man.
It's a Dolmio day. Yeah. Oh, we all sit around the table and eat the pasta.
Yeah. I wasn't trying to be...
Imagine us doing that with, I don't know, a Chinese accent. Or, do you know what I mean? It would immediately be, oh my God, you cancel these guys. Would be lit up all over the internet for all the wrong reasons, but you can do it with Italians. And Mario is a big example.
Yeah, it's like all Italians just all of them make wild hand gestures and are very emphatic in their speech. It's just like, I'd think that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
They just get away with it.
I mean, one of the big discussions in the past few years as well has been whitewashing, parts from other cultures, hiring Chris Pratt, playing a very, very famous Italian.
Doesn't sound very Italian or Italian American to me.
Or the original voice actor, Charles Martinet, actually. But I feel sorry for Charles Martinet, because he's been voicing Mario since the very, very beginning. It's a very, very iconic vocal performance, no matter what you think of it in regard to stereotype. And he's still out there. He's still working. Why hasn't he been cast for this? I'd be really pissed if I was him.
It's not, because Chris Pratt is the bankable one for some reason.
For some reason. Again, we go back to, why does everyone love Chris Pratt? I'm not so sure. But yeah,
it's because he's hot.
Yes,
basically, that's it.
He's a good-looking guy. Now.
Yeah.
And as I said, I've said this too often recently. I hate to start out with Chris Pratt again, but it's not like I actively dislike the guy. There is nothing of note. He's never done anything and I very much doubt that the Mario vocal performance is going to change my mind. To be honest, the only bit of the casting I do like actually is Jack Black as Bowser. Because I've got a feeling he might actually nail that. And he's a big gamer, Jack Black, as well, so he'll be very familiar with the concept.
I usually find Jack Black very hit and miss, but I have liked him in several things. I thought he was great in Bernie. He was very good in both Jumanji films.
Yeah.
I used
to find him quite irritating, but he's shown quite a lot of range since then, and I like that.
He can actually be really good. I'd say the great majority of his filmography, I think it would be fair to say that he gets on my tits. But he does have those little, and every now and again, it's like, well, he is actually genuinely funny in this.
As you said, Bernie, I thought was...
Bernie's great.
A little bit of it's a small masterpiece, Bernie, actually. It's down to his performance, where he really showed some... he's got some depth as an actor.
I thought he was great in that, definitely. He just knocked it totally out of the park there. So, hopefully, he will just work that magic again like he is.
But it's very difficult for, I've reviewed the Sonic the Hedgehog movie a very long time ago on the Premium Podcast and went into one of my semi-infamous rants about it. But the only thing that worked about that for me, the only thing was Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik. Because Jim Carrey just went to the absolute nines with it. And it didn't save the film. It wasn't that great a performance, but it was the only bit about it I'm like, you know what, actually, that's quite a good bit of casting.
It's kind of a smart move, like getting Dr. Robotnik to be played by someone who is actually mental.
Yeah, he could do he's a cartoon character, to do that over-the-top cartoonish thing. I mean, no one's better at that than Jim Carrey, no matter what you might think of him. But yeah, I've got a similar feeling with Jack Black as Bowser, but I mean... is anybody excited about the Super Mario film?
Not really.
No.
And by the way, just to clarify there, no offence intended whatsoever to people who have bipolar, because I think outside of either extreme at the end, either extremes of that, I do think Jim Carrey is just completely batshit nuts.
Yeah.
It's just like he is just
but he's able to use that to create some really charismatic performances, and he tried his damnedest with Sonic the Hedgehog, but the rest of the film was such a turd that it didn't stick. But yes, it's going to be one of those.
I
ones
do. You know what?
and
Before he shuffles off the mortal coil, which I mean, he's not that old, so it'll probably be a good few years yet. I kind of do and don't want him to do a third Ace Ventura, just to see how it turns out. You know.
Yes, yeah, he seems to have gone completely mad these days. But anyway, we will see. And my last bit of news this week, I told you it was shit, right? A movie revival of the Teen Wolf MTV series is in the works at Paramount Plus as part of a new overall deal. Series creator Jeff Davis has signed with MTV Entertainment Studios. Davis's multi-year deal will see him write and executive produce the film, with talks currently underway with original series cast members to return. The news comes on the 4-year anniversary of the original Teen Wolf finale on MTV. Now, Teen Wolf, I'm only aware of the movies. I didn't watch the
movie.
MTV.
Is a movie Michael J. Fox?
Yeah. And it's really, really kitschy, but quite fun.
Yeah.
Bit of 80s trash.
I was only aware of the film.
Yeah, well, apparently there was a very successful MTV series. People seem to hold it in some...
It shows how much we've got our fucking finger on the pulse in, doesn't it?
Well, especially me as the fucking TV critic. I mean, I probably have seen some promos for it somewhere and completely skipped it over because there's better things to watch. But anyway, yes, there is to be a Teen Wolf film. As you said, the Michael J. Fox original. I mean, I'm quite fond of that. Do you remember him as
fun.
Playing basketball with all the hair stuck to him and stuff like that? I remember scenes from that film quite iconically.
It's good. It's just good fun. It's like great bubblegum.
Yeah. But yeah, apparently there's going to be a new film, and that's the end of my news this week.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, when we cancelled our Thursday recording session, I kind of thought, well, it's going to be a pain in the ass to record on Sunday because it pushes my production schedule in terms of editing up, but kind of lucky because I've been trying to put the podcast together during the day and I thought there's no news. I thought by Sunday, something good will have, but there'll be something meaty there that we can talk about. Nah. Nah, it is all a bit wank. But, you know,
it's because you thought it was going to happen that it didn't happen.
Yes.
That is
more fool me. But so next week we'll be doing better news, hopefully. Anyway, I think most people tune in rather than to hear us banter about the news to listen to some film reviews and TV reviews. Liam, take us away. What you got?
Well, sir, I believe that in the past, either on 3 episodes or the premiums, I have blathered on about my love for Paul Schrader. I'm a massive Paul Schrader fan. You know, this is the man who wrote Taxi Driver and Raging Bull. His directorial debut, Blue Collar, is an absolutely fabulous film.
Wonderful film, yep.
Like Mishima, A Life of 4 Chapters, Light Sleeper with Willem Dafoe, like American Gigolo, Richard Gere. I mean, he kind of took a dip with shit like Dog Eat Dog in the Canyons, you know, within the millennium, but then he rocketed back to form in 2017 with First Reformed with Ethan Hawke, which as far as I'm concerned, that film's a masterpiece. And his most recent film that I sat down to, that I've been looking very much forward to for several months now, is The Card Counter. Now, anyone familiar with Paul Schrader will probably know about he's got a thing for redemption arcs. Usually fixates on lone wolf characters who are undergoing some sort of extended existential conundrum.
The hero's tale, really.
Yeah, like the very damaged, isolated hero's tale, and the way that they either were, oftentimes irrationally and pathologically fixate on something to redeem themselves, and 9 times out of 10 it culminates in a sort of cathartic end climactic act of violence. Like Schrader has this thing of building up to violence that I've always really greatly appreciated, and like the way that the antagonists in his film, they're kind of dubiously antagonists. They're usually only antagonists because the fractured mind of the hero has made them so, as opposed to now, which I've always found very interesting. Well, in The Card Counter, we have Oscar Isaac, who is one of my favourite actors. Like, with regards to like the things I've seen him in, I think I first saw him in Drive, because he's the standard in Drive, isn't he? He's Kerry Mulligan's husband who gets out of prison.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And then he's just, and then... Like,
I was struggling to place him then. I know exactly.
Then you see him, over the years, inside Llewellyn Davis. He's been in Ex Machina, Most Violent Year. Like, he's just really carved out.
Wonderful in Ex Machina.
He's an incredible
career-defining performance.
100%. Well, here, he plays William Tell. He's a loner. He's quite a mysterious chap. You can tell just from looking at him that he has sort of been through the gamut, as it were. And he has recently got, I think it's been a couple of years since he got out of an 8.5-year sentence at Leavenworth, which is a military prison. And he spends all of his time playing poker and blackjack at casinos and usually having windfalls and essentially just living out of cheap and nasty motel rooms just like around America. I think mostly in like sort of the Nevada area. And he does that because he learned card counting while he was serving a prison sentence, and the reasons he was in prison become elucidated. I don't necessarily want to spoil them, but that's his stick. Very alone, and he seems to ostensibly like it that way. Very methodical. He has a weird habit of whenever he goes into a motel room, he covers absolutely everything with white linen and fastens and like secures it with rope. He has these very peculiar idiosyncrasies.
So like a germaphobe kind of thing?
Or like, well, it's more symbolic, like in a way that he doesn't really want to leave any trace of himself behind.
Oh, I see. Okay, like crime scenes almost.
Yeah, it's quite it was a very bizarre little detail, but it's something I liked in a symbolic way. But Bill, essentially, one of the components of his existence is not getting too close to anyone. You know, he's a skilled card counter. He just wants to go around. He finds it therapeutic to play, and incidentally, most of the time he wins. He doesn't really seem to care that much, but he lives off those earnings and lives a nomadic existence. Well, one day, he's playing in a casino, and he notices a placard on the wall talking about a securities conference taking place upstairs, and he goes upstairs and he recognizes the name of the gentleman who is giving this conference. And it's a Major John Gordo, played by Willem Dafoe. And William is very intrigued by this, and he sits down to watch this seminar, gets up after a couple of minutes, and then a youngster, a young man named Kirk with a C, weirdly, played by Ty Sheridan, he gets up and says to William...
Oh, I like Ty Sheridan.
He's good, yeah, he's good, and he's very good in this. He gets up and says to Bill, he sort of grabs Bill and he says, "Do you remember him?" And he's like, "Here's my number, I'm staying in the hotel." And like William, or Bill as he self-references and many people call him, he's a little bit bewildered by this, but he ends up going down to the hotel bar in the early hours, and he rings Kirk's number, asks him to come down for a drink, and says, like, "What's all that about?" And basically, it is revealed that Major Gordo, the character played by Willem Dafoe, he essentially he was instrumental in very, very bad things, respectively, happening in the lives of both Bill and Kirk. And Kirk announces to Bill that I want to get revenge, and I want to know if you will help me in this. William is resistant and tries to tell the kid that, like, you know, this is ridiculous. You don't know what you're getting into. But he's intrigued by Kirk and he wants to help him. So he says, "Do you want to, this is what I do. I go around, I play cards, and I stave here and here. Like, do you want to ride with me, give you something to do? Maybe learn a few things just to take your mind off stuff." And so, yeah, so begins this sort of uneasy but eventually very strong kind of paternalistic partnership between the two. Meanwhile, William is also being poached by Lalinda, a character played by Tiffany Haddish, who runs a stable of investors, and they're very keen to back William in his card playing. You know, she's like, "Oh, you'll make loads and loads of money." And he says, "Okay, I'll do it. But after a year, I'm out," because what he wants to do is try and help Kirk reinvent his life financially and get him off of this kick, because he's a very damaged kid, Kirk, and his mind is just consumed by doing horrible things to Major Gordo because of horrible things that Major Gordo is responsible for. And Major Gordo actually had a hand in William's 8-year prison sentence. I won't go exactly into specifics of why, because that will just be a major spoiler. It's better for the audiences to find that out. But it's a character study of and an ultimately very poignant partnership with a father figure angle to it. And just like a study of eventually this trio of characters and just how they operate through life. And William's running narration, like talking, you know, he's got kind of something of a nihilistic look at life, but I think he also fundamentally tries to be a good man. And he thinks he hopes to absolve himself of wrongdoings in the past and make peace with himself by helping Kirk out. I loved this film. For my money, it's Oscar Isaac's best performance. He is absolutely fantastic as William Tell, or Bill, as people come to refer to him. He has just immediately become one of Schrader's best characters. As I was mentioning, the way that Schrader writes the Lone Wolf, the way he substantively and just complexly writes those kind of flawed but nevertheless magnetic, deeply interesting characters who just have this really, really fascinating psychology. Like, he's definitely one of his best creations, and Oscar Isaac fucking nails it. I was completely convinced by him in this film. Every single, the way he delivers every sentence, just his physical gestures, everything, it is just consummate brilliance. And Ty Sheridan, his performance, he doesn't really say that much, but he absolutely just flawlessly gets the visage of a deeply emotionally traumatized person, because of the things that happened to him. Kirk is essentially emotionally, he's essentially in arrested development emotionally, and he's got a lot of problems. And the way that Ty Sheridan articulates that through not a lot of dialogue is really, really great. The cinematography by Alexander Dinan, it's just like absolutely cracking look to the film. I think I think First Reformed might have had more visual majesty because of its locations, but the card counter is great to look at. The score by Robert Levin Breen is great. There's like a great electro sort of score running through it, a lot of synthwave stuff, but also similarly to First Reformed, the score has these very, very unexpected, sinister ambient dips that are a really, really good move, and they really help, because it's a weird one, that, like the card counter, and weird in a special way because it successfully goes through being very gritty, very poignant, and also very fucking scary in a lot of instances. Then the way that Schrader's screenplay and the actors, the way they just managed to juggle all of that is absolutely brilliant. And the way that it actually deals with the focal point, the reason why all of these events, the fundamental reason of Kirk and William being brought together, is just Schrader executing all of his strongest traditions in the best way that he always has. And it didn't surprise me that the critics absolutely adore this film. A lot of audiences hate it because it is a slow burn, and it does require you to, invest in study of character as opposed to constant action. And it is also one thing where I think you probably won't really get much out of the film unless you sort of have a rudimentary knack for reading between the lines with people.
There's always that subtext in Schrader's work, isn't there? There's
absolutely, yeah. And I think
heavy under-theming.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. But honestly, mate, I thought this was extremely moving. It's very well acted. I love the dialogue. I love the way it resolves itself. I was really excited about this film, and I'm really, really happy to say that it paid off. The card counter, absolutely brilliant.
Great stuff.
Yeah, absolutely loved it. And then next up, as a bit of a strong divergence from that, I did a little bit more Netflix digging because, I have a fucking account, so I might as well use it. And I watched a little film that came out, I think it was a couple of months ago it came out now, but this is Bartkowiak. And this is a Polish film directed by Daniel Markowitz.
Yeah, could you spell that for the audience? Because
yes.
I was completely unaware of this. I had to look this up.
Bartkowiak.
Yeah,
Bartkowiak.
Completely unaware of this.
Yeah. Well, so this is, it's essentially a Polish action thriller. And this stars Józef Pawlowski as Thomas Bartkowiak. Now, in the film's opening, Bartkowiak, he's a highly lauded and very talented MMA fighter. But it's then revealed that he basically had to quit the game in disgrace after a doping scandal. And after that, we find him running a nightclub that's been a sort of constant in his family. I think there's a nightclub that used to belong to his brother, but his brother needs help with managing it. So Bartkowiak is there night after night with his crew. And near the start, there's a guy called Steppy D, who is this very, very obnoxious Polish rapper who comes in with like a heavily muscled entourage and just comes in, starts acting like a prick. sets his security on the bouncers, and then like his big lump of a minder is confronted by Bartkowiak, who, you know, this guy dwarfs Bartkowiak, but Bartkowiak absolutely kicks his ass, so you know that he's, you know, our hero is an absolute handful, but he's also a very, very decent guy, and he only really gets rough when he absolutely needs to. So he's a man of ethics and integrity, but he will fucking tear your head off if you give him a reason to. Well, Thomas's brother, he's looking into more business ventures. He needs to go away for a little while. And he wants Thomas to, I think, like, just help him, like, help him keep up with his ventures at home, including, like, running the club, but also other things. And then, unfortunately, his brother is killed in a car accident. And we learn that this was not actually a car accident. It was an intentional vehicular murder perpetrated by some very, very nasty, horrible Polish mobsters. They want the rights to the nightclub. They want the rights to the ground it's built on, the rights to the ground that the nightclub is built on, so they can demolish it and make way for this egregiously lucrative property development. But because of sentiment, Bartkowiak does not want to relinquish the deeds or the license to the nightclub or anything, and he wants to stay where he is. And so these Polish gangsters are just like, well, we're not happy about that. So we're going to show you we're not happy about that in very gangstery fashion. So so what have you got? What have you basically got here? You've essentially got the Polish version of Roadhouse.
Right. Okay.
Bartkowiak teams up, like his former trainer. Is like a kind of I think he's like good performance actually by Simon Bobrowski. He's Pavel, who is Thomas Bartkowiak's former trainer, who has since he actually gambled all of his savings on Bartkowiak in a fight, and it went the other way, so he lost everything and became an alcoholic. But despite being a slovenly pisshead who's put on the pounds, he can still seriously fucking handle himself. And he's trying to clean up his act, and he comes back to Thomas and asks if he needs any help. And also Thomas begins romancing Pavel's daughter. And so, yeah, it is the Polish Roadhouse, basically.
I really thought you were going to go for the Polish John Wick.
Yeah, no,
for a minute there on that side.
More the Polish. The Polish.
You know
Roadhouse,
how every film is trying to be John Wick.
Yeah, well, it's with the use of mixed martial arts. I suppose, you know, it's an MMA action thriller, and it goes very much in the way you would expect. There's lots, you know, the villains are very nasty, horrible people. There's lots of arse-kicking, people bashing the fuck out of each other. Bartkowiak's rival, his main rival, is the nephew of the big bad, and he's a guy they call the Scar, because he's got a great big fucking scar going down the side of his face, and he's a lump, and he's also an MMA fighter, and there's a sort of centerpiece fight between them two. It does everything you expect. But I had a really good time with it. I thought it was very fun. You know what you're getting. It's basically decent bunch of people try and keep scummy bunch of people from, you know, ruining their livelihoods and fucking them over for nefarious gains. And, you know, there's the good guys and the bad guys. The bad guys pull several very nasty, malevolent tricks out of their sleeve, but the good guys, you know, they're tough motherfuckers, so they keep on persevering. And it's just lots of, smash, bosh, bash up. Lots of people get mullered, some permanently, some only in hospital. You know, you don't really need a really substantive elucidation of the plot.
Yeah.
Great fun. It's, you know, it ambles along very nicely. The acting is serviceable. It's not great, but it's certainly serviceable. I didn't think any of the performances were bad. The villains were very sinister, and it didn't scrimp on the violence at all. And a lot of the action sequences, one thing I actually liked about several of the fight sequences is Bartkowiak does actually get hurt a bit during the sequences, which lent it as realistic as you could call this film. You know, a slight degree of realism, because he does take a few hits. You know, he's not this fucking indestructible motherfucker. I know that, you know...
That immediately gives it an extra point on the scale, doesn't it?
Yeah, I know that John Wick maybe takes a punch or two, but he seems to be impervious to the effects.
He's got a bit of a limp in the next scene, and then he's gone after that. Yeah.
But Bartkowiak, you know, he gets done over the head with stuff. He gets, a blade or two stuck in him. He does actually get hurt, but because he is a very competent MMA fighter, he usually wipes the floor with people. And, lots of action, lots of very appropriately placed levity. You know, the heroes are very easy to root for. The villains are very easy to despise. This is a Friday night hour and 40 odd minute time killer. If you're stuck for something to watch and you just think, fuck it, I just want something for a bit of popcorn and a couple of beers, just something that's just a bit of entertaining madness, Bartkowiak is a really good bet.
Hey.
So yeah, very enjoyable.
I like that as well because your reviews was quite punchy and it seems indicative of the film. Gets in, gets out, does what it does.
Gets in, gets out, does what it does. I mean, I don't, because of what Bartkowiak is attempting to do and what it does do, I don't actually have any criticisms of the film in and of itself. It doesn't pretend to be anything it isn't. It's very basic. It's very predictable, but it's punchy. It's pacey. You get the vicarious thrill that it intends to provide is very much provided. And if you want a fun time killer, as I said, if you want a bubblegum time killer, bash him up. It's a really good one to go for.
Excellent.
So, yeah, check it out.
Yeah, shall do. Okay then, well that segues me nicely into my TV of the week. And this week, this has been taking Netflix by storm. As soon as the little promo image turned up and the title turned up, I knew I had to watch it. I knew it would be big. And it's been sitting in the Netflix top charts ever since. And there's going to be a lot of explanation on this one, so bear with me. This front loads a lot of backstory that becomes very important later. So let's get going on what is called Squid Game.
Oh, I've heard of this. This a lot of people have been mentioning this.
A lot of hype on this. Yeah, this is a Korean TV production on Netflix in the UK at the moment. I believe Netflix all around the world as well, but a huge, huge release. Everyone's talking about it. And yeah, a lot to discuss. So let's start out, with scene one. This opens with a load of Korean school children in the schoolyard in black and white with a mysterious narrator over the top of them. And he says something on the lines of, when we were younger, when we was children, we played what was called the Squid Game. And the Squid Game goes like this. On the floor is drawn or scratched out in the dirt a geometric shape that looks a lot like the head of a squid. And you have two teams. You have the attackers and the defenders. And it's a lot like what we would call as British children, British bulldog. So the attackers have to get past the defenders to get to, in this case, the very top of the squid. There's I believe it's a diamond at the top of the squid shape they have to get to. But at first, you have to hop on one leg until you make it past a certain part of the squid, and then you can go onto two legs. And then you attack the defenders, try and sort of rush them, essentially, to try and get to the top and win the game. And everything fades to black. And we meet our first character. This is Seong Ji-hun, played by Lee Jung-jae. And again, forgive me for my Korean pronunciation on these. It gave me a great feeling of uncertainty, by the way, when this is subtitled, obviously. Please don't watch the dubbing as usual. Reading the subtitles and watching these Korean actors deliver these names that are written and said a lot differently from each other. I'm like, oh man, am I going to fuck these up on the review? So yeah, we're going to go with Seong Ji-hun, which I think is fairly close to his character name anyway. He's I would say he's sort of mid-30s guy living with his mum in Korea, his elderly mother, and he's having dinner with her, and she's bustling around their small apartment, and she's reminding him that, don't forget about today, because today is your daughter's birthday, and I'm going to give you some money so that you can take her out to dinner. And Ji-hun is complaining that it's not enough money, and of course he remembers that it's his daughter's birthday today, and stop fussing around me, mum, all that kind of stuff. And she's berating him, going, he works a chauffeur job day to day, but it obviously doesn't pay very much. She's complaining that doesn't even begin to cover their expenses or their rent. She's an elderly lady. She starts to go to work. What a loser her son is, essentially. And he's going, oh, mum, stop complaining. And he's very greedily eating this dinner in front of her. Anyway, she goes out to work for the day, and Ji-hun has a route around their apartment and finds the secret credit card that she has stashed. So he takes it, he meets up with a friend of his, and he goes to the horse track to place some bets. And he's betting on horses, and he's losing money left, right, and center until eventually he puts a bet on a horse. And wouldn't you know it, it comes in. And he's won this big stack of money, and he's completely and utterly overjoyed. I mean, he's spent his mum's money to put the bet on, but now all of a sudden he's got this big wad of cash, and everything's going great for him. So he's standing outside the front of this betting shop with his mate, and he calls up his daughter on his phone. and says, look, where would you like to go out for dinner tonight? And she's giving him suggestions. And he goes, no. Go more expensive than that. Go more expensive. I've had a good day. I'm your dad and everything. I know I don't normally have much money, but tonight we're going to go out and party. Tonight I'm going to show you a really, really good time. As he's on his phone, he looks over and suddenly sees in the distance a couple of Korean gangsters coming towards him. And he looks to his other side and he sees even more gangsters coming after him from the opposite direction. So he panics, he freaks out, he runs back into the betting shop, which is huge, actually. It's like a betting arena kind of thing. I think it's actually at the horse track, but it's a huge, huge facility. He's running away. He's running through, bumping into
Funny
people.
if it was Ladbrokes.
Yeah. Korean Ladbrokes looks a lot better than the UK Ladbrokes anyway. But yes, he's running away from these gangsters that are chasing after him. And he bumps into a young girl and goes sprawling across the floor. And he knocks a drink out of her hand and he gets up and he goes, oh, I'm so sorry. I need to go. But I'm really, really sorry. He hands her back her drink and he keeps running. And eventually these gangsters catch up with him and they haul him into a bathroom, beat him up and slam him up against the wall between two urinals. And they put an improvised shiv up his nose.
Fuck.
Yeah. And obviously, Ji-hoon owes them a lot of money. And he's going, look, guys, it's okay. It's okay. Look, I made a lot of money today. I can pay you. I've got this big wad of cash. And he reaches into his jacket where he's kept this large sum of money. And the pocket inside his jacket has been ripped open and the money is no longer there. There's a flashback sequence to this young girl that he ran into who has very cleverly managed to, while they were on the floor together, rip open his jacket pocket and take his big stash of money. So now Ji-hoon is massively in the shit. He's surrounded by these gangsters. He's bleeding quite heavily. He's got the shiv up his nose and he doesn't have the money to pay them. And they make him sign a contract in his own blood with a fingerprint from his blood stain, essentially giving up all of his human rights, essentially saying, we literally owe you now. And you need to give us our money in the next couple of weeks or we're going to start harvesting your organs. We're going to start taking out eyes and kidneys and things like that until you've paid us back what we owe. So
what you owe.
Yes, what you owe. Sorry. Yes. Please bear in mind my back. So Ji-hoon now goes and takes his daughter out for the evening, except of course he now doesn't have any money other than I believe it's like 10,000 won that his mother gave him initially. Takes her out and she's very understanding. She's very used to the fact that she has essentially got a bit of a deadbeat dad. And although he's a nice guy, he's a bit of a fuck up. He's a bit of a clown, doesn't have any money, but he's bought her this sort of, rather than taking her out for a really nice meal, they've gone to like a Korean food stall kind of thing that's cheap and cheerful, but good enough. And along the way, he'd stopped off at a Korean amusement arcade. And he managed to convince one of the kids there to use one of the grabber machines to get a present for his daughter. He promised her a luxurious present when he had the money. She gets this box that he managed to pull out the claw machine that Ji-hoon hadn't opened. She opens it and finds that inside there is a gun. Thankfully, not an actual gun, it's a lighter. And she pulls it out and clicks the trigger and a flame comes out at the end. And Ji-hoon sort of scrambles a bit and goes, you need to be able to defend yourself because you're a young girl and the streets are dangerous. And so, in future, you might be able to use this. So I'm just getting you used to it. He's really covering for the fact that he's obviously fucked up her birthday and he's feeling pretty terrible about just the day he's had and the sort of person that he is, stealing money from his mother and all that kind of stuff. He drops her back home. He goes home to the apartment where he lives with his mother and his mother isn't there. And he eventually finds that she's been taken into hospital because she has, unbeknownst to him, really, really bad diabetes. Her feet are essentially rotting off. And it's going to cost a huge amount of money in medical bills even to be able to keep her alive. So he's really at the bottom of his game at this point. He's lost all his money. He's had a shit birthday with, his daughter's birthday has gone incredibly badly. And he goes to see his ex-wife, the mother of his daughter, to beg her for money because he's absolutely a rock bottom. He needs her to give him some money towards his mother's medical treatment. And she tells him no. And as he's leaving, his ex-wife's new partner comes out in the rain with him and says, look, I don't like you hanging around my ex-wife. I want you to go away and leave our family alone. But here's some money for you towards your mother's medical bills. And Ji-hoon gets a sudden sting of pride and he punches the guy in the face and says, how dare you sort of diminish me like this and patronize me like this. You obviously hate me. You obviously don't want me. I'm obviously a deadbeat. You don't want me anywhere near you. Look, I'm just going to leave. And he goes to the train station to catch a train home. And as he runs up to catch the train, it's in like an underground metro station, the train pulls away. And now he's left stuck. As he's sitting on the train platform, a mysterious suited man comes and sits next to him and says, can I talk to you for a minute? And Ji-Hung says, look, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in converting to Christianity or whatever it is you're trying to sell me. I've been having a really, really terrible day. Don't piss me off. And the guy says, how would you like to play a game? And he opens his briefcase, and inside the briefcase is a blue card and a red card. And he says, look, why don't you play this game with me? Apparently this is a big game in Korea. It's like a well-known game. Why don't you play this game with me? And every time you win, I will give you, I believe it's about 100,000 won. Huge amount of money.
What the fuck?
Every time you win this game. And every time you lose this game, you pay me 100,000 won. And so Ji-Hun says, you know what? I'll take my chances. So they begin playing this game on the railway platform, which is essentially one of you has the blue card, one of you has the red card. The person that goes first puts their card down on the ground. You throw your card as hard as you possibly can at the card on the ground. And if you manage to flip it over by throwing your card at it, you win. And if it doesn't flip over, you lose. So Ji-Hun throws his card down at this suited guy's card and it doesn't flip over. And he's despondent. And the suited man goes, why are you so upset? Don't you have any money? And Ji-Hun goes, no, of course I don't have any fucking money. I said I was having a bad day. Of course I don't have any fucking money. Guy goes, well, how about this? Every time you lose, rather than take any money off you, I'll just slap you around the face. How about that? Ji-Hun goes, okay. So the guy takes his first slap and whacks him around the head really, really hard. Ji-Hun's obviously a bit taken back by this, but goes, okay, fuck it, fine, let's play again. And so they play round after round after round, and Ji-Hun keeps on losing, keeps getting slapped across the face, until eventually he manages to flip over this guy's card. And the guy goes, congratulations, well done. Here you go, here's your 100,000 won. Hands him this big bundle of money. There you go, you've won. And Ji-Hun is completely overjoyed and goes, I can't believe it. Like, how easy a game is this? And the guy says, well, listen, if you want to make some more money and if you want to play more games like this, here's my card. Call this number on the back. So he hands this card over and it's got 3 symbols on the front, a square, a circle, and a triangle. And on the back is this mysterious number. So Ji-Hun goes back home. He's lying in bed that evening thinking about his mother's diabetes and how much of a failure he's been as a father to his daughter. And he decides, screw it, what have I got to lose? And he calls the number. And a mysterious voice on the end of the phone line says, if you'd like to play the game, meet us outside the front of your apartment block at 2:00 this morning. Ji-Hun goes outside the front of his apartment block. He's waiting there in the cold, looking backwards and forwards, when a minivan turns up. And driving the minivan is a mysterious man in a hood. You can't see his face. So he opens the door, he gets in. He's chatting to the guy in front going, what is all this? Why am I being taken this way? Who do you work for, etc.? When once the door's shut, he looks around and notices that all the other passengers in this minivan are unconscious. Suddenly, there's a stream of gas from the ceiling. He notices that the hooded man driving the car is wearing a gas mask and he passes out unconscious. We get a cut and he wakes up in this big, like, basketball hall surrounded by all these very tall bunk beds. And he's wearing a boiler suit with a number on the front, number 456. And he notices that everyone around him is also waking up from their unconsciousness, wearing these boiler suits with their numbers on them. As he's checking out his surroundings, he notices an old man who is number 001. And he's sitting on the end of his bed and he's counting all of the people that are getting up from their unconscious state. And he goes to speak to the guy and the guy says, don't interrupt me. My doctor says that I need to do exercises like this. I need to count things. I need to be aware of things because I have a brain tumor. And as a result, I need to do these exercises every day. And Ji-Hun says, well, you don't need to do any of that. Look, and there's this big screen on the ceiling that says 456. He says, look, that's the number of people here, where there's 456 of us, but I don't know why. This is all interrupted by a fight that breaks out amongst some of the people in their boiler suits. The fighters are a Korean gangster and a mysterious young girl, and Ji-hoon recognizes her as the pickpocket that took the money from him earlier. And this gangster is knocking her around the room, and a circle begins to form around them because she's been pickpocketing just about everybody. She's known as a thief. And this guy is just beating the hell out of her. And Ji-hoon interrupts the fight and goes, hang on, I've got business with this girl as well. She took a load of money from me. So there's this big argument breaking out. People are forming a circle. It's very schoolyard kind of stuff. And all of this is interrupted by a door opening in the side of the room. And 10 mysterious masked men.
A lot of mysterious stuff happening.
Yeah. You see how much explanation. You see why I need to give myself more time for this, because there's so much explanation. I realize I'm banging on a bit, but believe me, this is all important.
No.
So these mysterious masked men enter the room. They're all dressed in pink jumpsuits and they're all wearing face masks. And each one of the face masks has either got a circle, a square, or a triangle on it. And they interrupt the fight and they begin to explain what's going on. They say, essentially, you are all here to play a game. 6 games, in fact. If you sign the contract we're about to give you, you will play 6 games from your childhood. And after each game, a large sum of money is added to the prize pot. And from the ceiling descends this gigantic golden glowing piggy bank that is going to fill up with money. And you are all here essentially because you owe gigantic amounts of debt. Every single one of you is at a point in your life where your creditors are chasing you, your life is about to be over. All you have to do is sign this contract, play 6 games, and at the end of it, you will get, I think it's something like 50 billion won if you end up being the last player standing at the end. So for all of these players, because they're all in massive debt, because it's such a surreal situation, they've been rendered unconscious, they've been brought to this strange room, they all start signing these contracts that dictate the rules of the game. And they are brought into game number 1. Now, game number 1 is set in this big outdoor arena. It's a cube, but on all 4 sides of the cube are these sort of pastoral background scenes that have been painted on these very tall walls. So it kind of looks like you're outside, but you're not. They're all led out into this arena, all 456 of them. And an announcer over the PA system says, this is game number 1. We're going to play red light, green light. And they look up and they see down the other end of the arena is a huge robotic little girl, like an animatronic. And she's facing all these players, sort of smiling inanely at them. And say, okay, so game number 1 is about to start. It's red light, green light. The robotic girl turns around and faces the wall. Now, what this game is essentially what we would call, what's the time, Mr. Wolf?
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
So this big robotic little girl down the end is facing the other way. She says green light, everybody gets to move towards her. When she says red light, she turns around and anybody still moving is out of the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the game begins. The girl turns around and everybody's sort of standing there dumbfounded, like, what the hell are we doing here? What is all of this? 2 players suddenly take their opportunity. They decide, okay, well, it's that kid's game where you got to run towards her and then stop when she turns around. No problem. So they go running towards her. She says red light and turns around. One of the players stops dead still. The other player stops and wobbles a little bit. Suddenly, the girl's animatronic eyes sort of zoom in on this guy that's wobbling. There's a loud bang. A sniper shot comes from a hidden place, and he falls dead to the ground.
Wow.
Everybody is standing there in stunned silence. The little girl turns back towards the wall. Green light. So everybody at this point starts freaking out. Someone's just been shot in front of them. There's panic, like a mass panic ripples through this crowd. And they start running the other way, back to the wall they came from, back to the door that is now closed. They can't escape the arena. And they're clawing at it, going, let me out, let me out, let me out. The little girl turns around again, red light. She looks across to them, sees all the people moving. Suddenly, all these ports open on the walls with all of these gun barrels coming through them. And they begin picking off everybody who's moving, which is a good 2/3 of these 456 people there. Suddenly, it is a bloodbath. Blood splattering everywhere, sniper shots firing from all over the place. People are being cut down left, right, and center. Until eventually, there's about 1/3 of these people left standing there dead still. The little girl turns back to the wall and cheerily announces, green light. And gradually, reluctantly, the players that are left begin to play the game. That's where I'm going to leave it. Again, apologies for the amount of setup on that one, but you really need to do all of that because it all sort of comes back into play later. Are you with me on that?
I certainly am.
I'm sorry for banging on for so long.
No, it's all right. I get it.
This is one of those ones where you go sort of, stop me if you heard this before. Because the idea of playing sadistic games for money and everybody sort of being forced into a situation where there's a huge prize at the end, but ultimately, I mean, we're talking Battle Royale, we're talking Hunger Games. You could even say the Saw franchise, really. I want to play a game, all that kind of stuff where you get involved with something that's actually very sadistic and twisted and cruel, but has this weird sort of schoolyard ethic behind it, that you play these relatively simple games that, that small children could play, except the payoff is you either die or you win. I mean, it's been done a million times. No better than in this. I mean, this is a really, really interesting piece of work. We're forever rating Korean cinema on this podcast.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
This has got all of the things I love about Korean cinema. It's got an I Saw the Devil kind of quality to it. There's something about the aesthetic of Korean cinema. There's sort of a yellowy kind of light that's used. And it's a lot of that almost Michael Mannish kind of thing of sort of glittering neon lights in the darkness. But this has got something even more interesting going with it. The arena that they're taken into, the place where they're now trapped within, is this really surreal, sort of twisted children's yard. Every time they go to play a new game, they get taken through what looks like almost like an M.C. Escher painting, with the stairways that go in opposite directions.
Yeah.
Everything is designed deliberately to confuse and to confound and to... It's very obvious that the creators of this game, and much more is revealed as the show goes on, obviously, but they're playing with every single level, like psychological levels and things like that. And again, you're going to be thinking, okay, well, I've seen this done before, but this has got something higher level about it. Obviously, the overall point here, and it's not hard to read the subtext, even just from that explanation, is that these people are sort of down on their luck. These are people that would play the game because they've got nowhere else to run. They've put themselves into financial situations where their lives are essentially over. And so it's very easy to read into that subtext that, okay, so this is sort of late stage capitalism kind of thing. And yeah, that is kind of where it goes, but it's much cleverer with the way it makes its point. So many of these shows and films that have done this concept before have been very blunt and on the nose with it. This has got way more to it. And most of that comes from the characterization. I mean, I've already done Ji-hoon, and we've got the mysterious pickpocket as well. But there's Sang-woo as well, who is comes to the same area as Ji-hoon. Ji-hoon actually runs into his mother earlier in the piece. I left that bit out because it would make the explanation even longer. But he's sort of the golden boy of the area. He went to business school and everything. And everyone's very surprised to see him playing the game because, hang on a minute, aren't you a massive success? Isn't everyone talking about what a brilliant paradigm of paragon of virtue, rather, of the region you are? Why are you here? And it turns out he's fallen down the ladder and got himself into trouble as well. You've got the old mysterious old man as well that's there because, well, he's got a brain tumor. So what has he got to lose, really? Maybe he can make some money for his grandkids. There's all these layers of subtext and characterization going on that you don't find in any other version of this. It's visually really, really striking. All of that surreal stuff with the guys in pink suits with the different symbols on their faces, that's all revealed really nicely as well. There is a character later on that I'm not going to go into that manages to sneak into the facility as a guard where they're kept. And it reveals the inner machinations of it. We've also got a mysterious head of the organization that is only shown very, very briefly in the first episode. He is referred to as the front man, and he's played by Lee Byung-hun. And he's, rather than the pink suits the other guys have, he's got a black suit and he's got a black mask that looks a lot like those sort of Easter Island heads that you get. Sort of blocked out features.
Yeah.
That symmetrical kind of thing. So he's sort of the nefarious power behind it all. But what it does is it very gradually, over the course of its 9 episodes, unfurls all these really interweaving narratives in amongst these games that, I mean, if you thought that game was sadistic, where 2/3 of them get massacred almost immediately, and I almost feel like that's a spoiler, but it's not, because it's all in episode 1 and it's the first initial hit that shows you what the rest of the show is going to be like. The games just get more devious, more insane, and more sadistic as they go on. You'll be holding your breath at a lot of points in this show. It's really, really clever with that. I also loved the characterization that they gave Ji-hoon, because he initially starts off in the first episode as this deadbeat dad, degenerate gambler, living with his mum, stealing his mum's money. He's very much like that Asian character stereotype of the comedy fool, almost like a Marx Brothers kind of thing. He's almost sort of pantomime in his actions. He's very over the top and just quite a nasty character. but the way the game changes him as it goes on, the way it makes him realize his values in life. And there's obviously that big discussion about, is it all worth it? Or is it actually worse being in the game where the game is ostensibly fair? Or is it worse being on the outside where everything is stacked against you? These are the themes that this show wants to play with. And it's all been done before. But to see it put together like this in such a consummate and coherent way, it just makes all the rest of it. I mean, you can forget all of the others. This does it to a degree and to a level of quality that makes that whole concept work. And it's a really, really stunning show. It's one of those ones that if I wanted to go into spoilers, I could do 2 hours just rambling on about it and nobody would want to listen to it. But it's just got everything just so. And it's got everything to a point where the pathos and the heart of the piece becomes overwhelming, and it presents moral choices to the viewer that really make you think about, you think about, okay, so what would be the best way to play this game? But you think about, do you start forming off into groups and start protecting each other? Surely there'll be lone wolves that want to fuck over the rest of the group because only one person can win at the end. It's dealing with those moral layers of society. How much do you want to engage with what is essentially a much fairer but much more sadistic version of late-stage capitalism? I mean, it's heavy, heady stuff, this. But that surrealism, the way it keeps up its pace, the way it's always got an interesting trick up its sleeve, it's absolutely gripping television. And chalk up another one for the list of foreign production I've seen this year that just kicks the shit out of just about every Western production that I've seen. I can absolutely see why this is getting the hype that it does. It ends on an interesting note as well. There'll be no giveaway to say that there's a late twist. I think you're expecting one of those to come in a show like this. And I did sort of see it coming. But it's got a secondary twist after that I enjoyed quite a lot. And despite the fact that I saw the twist coming, I didn't feel cheated in any way. Nor did I feel like the moral point of the piece, which, as I said, in other productions has been done in a very heavy-handed manner, nor did I feel like that was a disappointment. Although it does go where you think it's going to go, it layers it in such a nice and consummate and intelligent and well thought out way that in this show's hands, those ideas feel fresh. Despite the fact you've seen them before, you haven't seen them done as well as this. And as a result, it makes all other media that's tried to do this sadistic game, the mysterious overseers making poor people compete for their entertainment. It's been done. It's never been done as good. So really stunning piece of work. That sounds
very interesting.
Yeah. I'm sorry for so much explanation on that one. I normally try and keep it tighter than that, but if you think that's got a lot going on, wait for the rest of the episodes. There's a lot here to dissect, and I enjoyed every single minute of the ride. It is really worth doing.
Excellent. Well, I'm heavily intrigued by that, so yeah.
I'm going to hate editing myself on that one, by the way. So Andy, shut up. Just get on with it. Anyways, yes, we better do some trivia to finish out, as we always do. I think you can probably guess where we're going. I thought we'd do South Korean trivia. Very specifically South Korean trivia, because the show is in South Korea. I'm sure at some point we'll do North Korean trivia, and as I think everyone would figure out, there's obviously a lot of that. But South Korea in and of itself has a lot interesting going for it, and I thought we'd learn a bit. Let's learn some stuff at the end of the podcast.
Yes, please do teach me.
Let's. One of the unique facts about South Koreans is they're automatically 1 year old at birth. This means that a newborn baby is considered 1 year old. There are different schools of thought as to why this is. One explanation is that people think it's because the baby is in the mother's womb for 9 months, which is roughly 1 year. Therefore, in South Korea, a baby is 1 year old when born.
So when you're actually 45, they consider you 46?
Yes. Yeah. Well, it depends on how you look at it.
Your first birthday, what we would consider your first birthday, like
that's
here,
one,
for example.
Yeah. I sort of get the point on that. That actually seems like a slightly more rational system than going the day you're born is 0. Because it's objectively not. It's not a year either. That's a weird one. Surely you should be considered 9 months old when you're born. But hey.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it sounds like a little bit convoluted to me.
But apparently no other culture does this. You get 1 year added onto your age because of your time in the womb.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's said that when South Koreans try something, they go hard at it. Football, spicy food, and definitely drinking. Many are surprised to see that Koreans are considered one of the top drinkers in Asia by far. South Korea actually has a strong drinking culture compared to its neighbouring countries in Asia. This can be rooted in their tradition and culture, where most holidays are celebrated with alcohol. According to the World Health Organization, South Koreans consume an average of 12.3 litres of alcohol per year and are ranked number 17 in the world.
Wow.
I think that's probably behind Britain. You know, I'm pretty sure we're ranked higher in terms of our ridiculous drinking culture.
Well, it's good to know, like, you know, there's a little bit more sort of common ground there, finding out that South Korea is a nation of pissheads. You know, it's like, fair play.
In case you're not up on your phobia lingo, tetraphobia means avoiding the number 4. One of the interesting fun facts about South Korea is that 4 is an unlucky number. Therefore, in elevators, you'll often see floors 1, 2, 3, and F. Apartments in South Korea with multiple 4s, e.g. 404, in their house number are often avoided and the property values are lower. This is because the word for 4 in Korean is very similar to the word for death.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, I've never heard that before.
It's interesting though, isn't it? Because I used to do some work for a football club and football teams never have a shirt number 13. It always goes 12 to 14. But yeah, for Koreans it's 4 because, yeah, it sounds like death. I get it.
Well, I mean, like the people who are not superstitious will be, you know, I mean, like loads of properties up for grabs, you know.
South Korea is famous for its practice of crime recreation. Citizens suspected of crimes such as rape or murder are led by the police in handcuffs to the scene of the crime in order to publicly reenact it. To make the reenactment even more humiliating, the media is also invited to take pictures and publish details about the crime.
Well, a crime that they're suspected of. So let's say you have been accused of, I don't know, burglarizing a store and you didn't do it. You'd still be taken to the scene of the crime and made to recreate the crime you didn't do? What the fuck?
Yeah, I was trying to figure this out earlier. This comes from multiple sources. This is apparently a thing. But yeah, it's some sort of like public humiliation thing. But then if you didn't do the crime, then you've been humiliated and spread across the newspapers and everything for nothing.
So they don't actually have the burden of innocent until proven guilty on prosecution then, by the sounds of it. Because, I mean, number one...
On prosecution, I think, yeah. But in terms of the lead up to the prosecution, then no, you're suspected of doing it.
You haven't been convicted of it.
Yeah.
So you're still like, well, at least...
How are you supposed to recreate a crime you didn't do? Surely most people must turn up and go, well, I don't know how to do this because I didn't... Well, you're supposed to like theorize? If I was to do it, I'd do it like this.
Yeah, you imagine how many people go like, you know, say, I guess maybe the person did it like this, you know.
And not only that, but your face is all over the newspapers.
Well,
it's like a bizarre system.
That's just fucking ridiculous.
There are 250 different types of kimchi, which explains how kimchi can be versatile enough to be incorporated into so many different types of South Korean dishes. Kimchi is considered one of the most iconic traditional Korean food items. A side of kimchi is standard no matter where or when you're eating a meal. Kimchi is a fermented dish that can utilize a variety of vegetables and seasonings depending on your preference. Kimchi is also wonderful for digestive health, so Koreans are way ahead of the game for making it a part of every meal. Make sure to try a side of kimchi if you're ever in Korea. You won't be disappointed.
Oh, cool.
I love kimchi, actually. Kimchi is really, really good.
What exactly is it? Sorry,
it's like it's sort of, imagine sort of a coleslaw, but in more of a darker, spicier, fermented sort of sauce. It's very, very good.
But it's just got vegetables in it. It's got no meat.
Everyone I've had has vegetables. Yeah, but you get it for breakfast in Korea. They have it with almost every meal.
Oh, I don't think I'm going to bother.
It's interesting as well. This article actually came from a South Korean website. I've read competing articles that say that South Koreans actually have a higher rate of stomach cancer. And one of the attributing factors to this is that they eat kimchi with every meal, and kimchi is very, very spicy traditionally. So I don't know what's the truth on that one, but it is delicious.
We actually got, I mean, apart from we probably don't have any Korean restaurants near us, do we?
There is in New Malden, rather. Don't know why I pronounced that so badly. Yeah, New Malden up the road is the biggest Korean. It's got a big community of Koreans. I've had Korean barbecue.
I think it's the biggest concentration of Korean people outside of Korea.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah, and that's not too far away. And yeah, if you go there, the Korean food is
like there's even like Korean Americans. There's not as much of them in America as there are Koreans in New Malden.
Yeah,
why they settled in New Malden, I have no fucking idea.
But if you ever get the opportunity to go to a Korean restaurant, do, because the food is amazing.
Well, I've had bulgogi, which is delicious. So, yeah.
Nice little quick one here. South Korea passed a law in 1999 that requires all online shopping and banking to be done using Internet Explorer. It is still in place.
Internet Explorer.
The worst of all the web browsers, yeah.
Jesus
For some
Christ.
reason. Yeah. I mean, even Windows, even Microsoft has dropped Internet Explorer. It's Edge now, isn't it?
Internet Explorer?
Yeah. It's some form of torture, I think, to be forced to use Internet Explorer, but there you go.
I've forgotten it even existed until you jolted my memory just then.
Yeah. And my last one here. You may have seen pictures in history textbooks depicting individuals in South Korean history with beards, some of them very long. But today, a man with a beard is considered dirty and unkempt, no matter how groomed his beard may look.
Thanks.
And this isn't just about what a potential romantic partner might think. Wearing a beard might even deter you from getting your next job. I put this in because we both have beards because we're film critics and you're required to grow one. But apparently we wouldn't do too well in Korea.
Somebody actually said, a guy I work with actually said to me, he's like, oh, so you're going to affect the whole, the thing that film critics do. I said, what thing are you talking about? He's like, like being a fucking douche.
Well,
I guess so. Yeah.
That is us these days, isn't it? So yeah, thank you very much for listening to the douche podcast. Two bearded British men moaning about stuff. But yeah, we've given all 3 positive recommendations this week. That's nice.
Yes,
isn't
it is. It is. Yeah. It's nice to have that little alignment there.
Yeah, see, we're not all negative.
Didn't have to shit all over everything.
But yes, that brings us to the end of our free podcast this week. We're off to record the premium podcast, providing my back holds up. This week, we're going to do a bit of a catch-up, really, because we've been doing a lot of specials recently, and we often like to throw extra takes and other things that we've been watching into the mix. So Liam's got an absolute ton of extra takes.
I've watched a barrage of shit since I've last seen you, so yeah, I've got several things that I'm quite eager to talk about.
So Liam's got loads of them to review, as many as we can fit in, and also I'm going to review the new Netflix documentary Schumacher. About Michael Schumacher. Yeah, and I've got a fair bit to say about that as well. So yeah, bit of a catch-up week in terms of all the other things that we've been watching that don't fit in the free podcast. Lesser releases, I suppose you'd say, but often they're better than the big releases. So we'll see.
They certainly can be.
We'll see where we end up with those. But yes, thank you so much for listening. Please do check out cinementalist.com for a link to our Patreon page if you'd like to check out the premium content this week, and of course all of our other premium content as well. Follow us on Twitter at CinementalCast. You can follow Liam himself at
Liam at the Movies, and my handle is Wacko Jacko's Flicks.
Yeah, lovely. So I hope to see you on the premium stuff. If not, another free one next week. Hopefully, I won't be crippled at that point. And hopefully I'll be able to explain the show in less than 20 minutes. And anything to add, Liam?
Nah. Just
that's your lot.
Thank you. No, thank you. As always, thank you for listening, guys. We genuinely do appreciate it, and really hope you enjoy the content. Check out that good shit, and yeah, if you don't subscribe to the premium, just hope you tune in for next week.
Please do give us a look. We'd love to see you there, and we've got many sites for you to see.
Yes, we do. We unearth a lot of stuff. A lot of my stuff is pretty fucked up. That's how I like to keep it.
Where we're going, you will need eyes. Okie dokie. Thanks very much, guys. See you next week.